I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, well, we got some really serious stuff to start with, so let's get right to it. Over here we go, and play. And it's persuasion. It's persuasion, right? They got it going. So anyway, they got the marketing. That's how you can get your clients convinced that you're right. You just have to jump onto the alligator and let it bite your head off. That's true marketing. Come on, Keith, give me some hearts for that. Oh, dear. Okay, so we're going to talk about some deep subjects today. Not that deep, but a little bit. What's happening with tracking and cookies? You know, I did some talks on attribution. We'll maybe stick this in the attribution pile. And Paul Gubbins writes on a fairly technical level, so I don't expect most of you marketing people to get this, but I'm going to go through it in a very kindergarten level. Okay, cookies. And I don't run Norton antivirus. I run some stuff that gets rid of all the cookies all the time. I run in private mode almost all the time, as I mentioned yesterday. So, you know, you're not tracking me on my desktop very well. And I use my phone a lot, and those don't have those cookie requests. So what's happening is that the ability to drop a piece of, you know, they'll put up something, a little piece of code on their website, and when you go to their website, you get it. And cookies are to mad tech. I love that, mad tech. Like petrol to cars. The problem is that with GDPR, more vendors are questioning their use of cookies. It's also flat or declining that people will pick them up. Safari, which is the main Apple browser, has high-tech cookie blocking. And so we're wondering what the post-cookie world is going to look like. And that's what Paul's writing about. Traffic that originates from devices such as desktop that support cookies is either flat or in decline. There you go. I tend to basically do almost all my browsing on my desktops because I have like a dozen laptops laying around and they sync with each other. You know, I have those luxuries of, and we're going to blast Windows 10 off one this morning and put in Ubuntu. We're going back to Linux because we just had it. Anyway, the cookie traffic is flat, okay? And what Paul is arguing is that there's a need for an ID where cookies will not be supported because with GDPR and CCPA, which is the California Consumer Protection Act, in case you don't know what all this means, it's anybody's guess whether that'll even be allowed. You know, if you go to a European site, it'll say, you know, warning, this site uses cookies. And I guess if you don't say allow, I always say allow, but I'm on a private browser anyway. If you don't say allow, they won't let you in. So there's Safari blocks you. Chrome is saying, they're not saying it, but their PR is talking about it, and they have great pop-up blocking. Chrome does already, so it's not a very big stretch. So now why is this so much of a concern? Paul says, imagine if you could not explain holistic reach, frequency, and attribution to your board after spending millions on digital advertising. You know what? You can't. Your only hope is that your board is not digital native, as the millennials like to call themselves. What a joke. Like, that's like, because you know how to drive a car, you know how a car is built. Anyway, never mind. We got into that the other day. So why is this so? Imagine that you can't track everybody. The foundation of digital advertising is the idea that we can track everybody, and therefore we'll know what you'll do next. Lies. Just go right to the jugular. It's lies, and we've covered that many times. But there is somebody who knows what's going on. It's GAFA. And if you don't know what GAFA is, you heard it here first. GAFA is Google, Amazon, Facebook, and I don't know who. It's the big four. I don't know who is the big four. I only get 3 of them. Anyway, it's not Bing. Anyway, it's those guys. It's the guys who know what's what because they're internal walled communities. So if you do a Facebook ad and you're selling a product and you do Facebook fulfillment or whatever, Facebook order taking, then you know for sure who ordered from that ad, which was the foundation of the intelligence gathering by the Trump campaign. And if you haven't heard about that, Brad Parscales actually wrote me back and said, you're the only one who figured out what we did. What they did was they used Facebook and they sold hats. So rather than foo-foo faked survey data that they couldn't verify, they knew exactly who was buying hats, who was parting with a $20 bill, and what ad drove them to it, what headline, what copy, what illustrations, and they did hundreds of thousands of tests all across the country in different geographies. So they had a pulse on everybody across the country. And if you're running for president and you don't want to call Brad, you could call me or check out that article. Did direct marketing swing the election? So they will be able to know what's going on, but they don't share their identity. So what Paul says is we need an identity that goes across these groups, a more robust cookie equivalent. Okay, now I've got an idea for you, an idea that won't be challenged and GDPR has said is okay, and that is the home address. The home address is an identity that's been proven through time, and mail is a better testing vehicle than all this hokey digital where only 60% of the traffic that you track is human anyway. Only about half. Okay? Everybody wants to be buying audiences, not screens, but identity sits at the heart of this ambition. And street address works. And oh, by the way, you can actually target by street address on Google Ads and on Facebook and probably on Amazon. I just don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. You just upload your list and they know who they are and they get their ad in front of you. And you can even do it with Google Ad Network. You can do it on Amazon, on Android screens. Looks like I've blown most of my talk today, so let's go over here to talk to this one. Analytics are only as good as the insights you act on. Clients ask, are they truly harnessing the power of digital data? Well, first of all, your problem, you want to be on all devices that a consumer has. That's a problem. We just covered it. You can't track as easily on some as on others, right? Plus, we have ad blockers. Okay, now, she makes a point of dimensions and metrics. I don't see this distinction very clearly because she says dimensions are non-numeric values and then cites price, which is numeric. Color can be numeric, by SKU. Size is, sale price is numeric. These things, they're all numeric. But metrics, she says, are numeric that are like visits, visitors, orders, revenue. Okay. But her main point is that what you need, and then you'll generate reports with all that stuff, garbage in, garbage out. Return on investment, attribution by channel, devices, temporal comparisons, and comparisons against targets. These things are contextual, and these are financial, both of which aren't coming from those up there, not very easily. Okay, but what she says is that the key is to explore high-level reasons, which is causal, very challenging, and Then she has a really great example. Okay, she says, let's say call volume is high but conversion is low, especially for people wanting travel insurance to the Middle East. So 30% of your travel insurance searches are coming from the Middle East, but the company has no dedicated category for insurance travel to this region. My experience is that discoveries are not generally discovered by this methodology, by piling up lots of data. What you will get is spurious correlations. But very few analytics systems give you guidance in that direction. She never talks about a dependent variable. So I would recommend that before you go in this route, which is very difficult to know if you've got all my devices. How do you know? Right? Right. And how do you know what I buy if I don't go on those devices to your site, but I go to other people's sites? You're not seeing those purchases. Okay, so for those simple reasons, what we do instead is we start with a dependent variable. So let's be really careful with that. Let's do ROI on a particular campaign. We use home address as the identity factor. Solid, not digital. And we mail. And then we see what comes back. So we know causal influences. We know, and we have hundreds of dependent variables that we can really sort it out. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't go get digital, visits. It doesn't mean we shouldn't go out to third-party data sources and add that in. But what we're doing is we're starting with a foundation of the dependent variable of a solid ID that's not going to move in time, and then we build it out into this nonsense world where only 60% of the traffic is real, and how to tell which. So it gets really tiresome to me to read article after article where they basically give you no stepping stones to go from knowledge to knowledge, and then to add to that. That's the key. That's the way you learn in school. You didn't start at graduate school. You started in kindergarten. Okay, so let's start simple. Takeaway. Digital analytics are nothing but numbers unless insights arising from them are used for real-time actions in business. So we started with a system that did this. We started it with a system that took action, that pulled names, and then we added to it. I'm John Miglash. Like and share. Have a great day.